Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the first webinar in a series of member webinars that are dedicated to helping you to learn BNI Connect and get the most out of your membership. Today is the first module in the series called BNI Connect Step 1, Complete Your Profile. What we're going to be talking about today is your profile in BNI Connect. We're going to be talking about really VCP Visibility plus credibility equals profitability, and how your profile can help to increase your exposure out there as well as to increase your credibility and profitability with the people that you know. Now, before we get started on today's content, just a couple of housekeeping things. The first of which is that today's webinar is a live webinar. So if you have any questions whatsoever as we're going through the material today, please do feel free to ask those questions. The best way to do that is to type your question in to the questions panel. I will see that pop up on my screen right away, and I'll be able to answer that question and help you out with it, again, right away. We're scheduled for about 30 minutes of content or so. I try to keep these nice and short and sweet so you guys can get right back onto your business days and get back to work. That being said, if you do have questions, I am always happy to stay on these calls as long as you need until every single question is answered. So don't feel like we're constrained for time. I just need to, want to be respectful of people that might need to leave right away at 30 minutes. We are recording this webinar as well. We record all of our webinars. You can find the webinars, once they're recorded, on our support site. Now, the way to get to the support site is if you're logged into BNI Connect, click on this question mark in the upper right-hand corner. You can also go directly to support.bniconnect.com. Once you get there, you'll see our list of monthly upcoming webinars. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see chapter training and documentation. In here, we have tons of walkthrough documents and guides to help you out with every process here in BNI Connect. And among that, you can also see recorded webinars. You'll see, for example, the list from February. The March list will be up very soon. And there are all of the recorded webinars from February, including a copy of today's presentation, which is to complete your profile. Relatively same content, slightly different questions each time. So please do check us out there. If you'd like to, you can also go directly to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And up here, you'll see not just our recorded webinars, but a ton of other content as well. Short walkthrough guides and educational moments and special announcements from Dr. Meisner about BNI Connect. All of that can be found up on our YouTube channel. So please check us out there and subscribe if you want to be notified of future additional videos. But let's go ahead and talk about our profile in BNI Connect and why it's so important to fill out our profile. One of the reasons that it's so important is because your profile actually shows up in multiple places, both on the public internet and within the members-only portion of BNI Connect. For those of us here in the United States, there are 3 distinct websites that your profile will show up, each with their own unique URL, so that Google is actually finding these multiple times as well. Let me show you that. So this is the logged in portion of BNI Connect. Let me open a new tab. I'm going to go to my regional website. I am a member. I've been a member since 2002. I'm here in the great state of Rhode Island on the East Coast, halfway between New York and Boston. And up here on our regional website, if somebody goes to, let's say, find a member, and again, this is a public site. Anybody on the internet can get to this. They do a search for me or my services. They'll see my exact match and open up my profile. So here's my profile. You can see it has my name. It has all of my contact information, my company information, a ton of social media links. They can get to my multiple Facebook pages, my LinkedIn page, my blogs and everything else. It has my logo up here. I even was able to embed a video here in my profile as well, so people can directly see a video as part of that. and it also has my tops information. So that's one page. Now there's another page that you can find this. My chapter website is actually bniri.com/Wakefield. So this is our chapter website, and if I go to the chapter members and I click on my profile here, this is a second distinct page that people can find my profile. Now notice it is the same profile. So same bits of information, all accessible here on the public internet. Now I'm also go to bniamerica.com. This is our national website in the United States here. And if I scroll down and I go to find a member, and let's say I do a search for computer RI, I could also just put in my name and find myself that way as well. So here's the list for all the people with computers in Rhode Island in their profile. I'm going to go ahead and click my name here. And again, here's my profile again. Same exact profile. All of my social media accounts again. There's my video. There's all my descriptions, etc. So this is all on the public internet. Anybody going to the websites can find these. As I said, Google is searching them. If I go to Google and do a search for, let's say, Jeremy Walsh, the very first thing that comes up is there's my BNI Wakefield membership details. If I do a search for Jeremy Walsh BNI, now we have even more content directly related at me. So definitely a good place to have this information out on the internet for people that might just be looking for you. Now, once you log into BNI Connect, everybody has a profile here as well. And the place to find people's profiles when you're looking to connect with people or looking for other people in BNI to maybe pass a referral to or start a relationship with, you can click on this magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner. And the same type of search applies. The difference is that the regional site will only search for members within my region. The United States site will search for all members in the United States. This search, once you're logged in as a member, you can actually search the entire BNI world, which includes about 150,000 members right now. In just about a month or so, we're going to be having Australia, New Zealand, and Canada on board, which will pretty much make 99% of the BNI world all in this same system. So you can do a search term, and again, let me do a search. The easiest thing to do is always to search for a name. I'm going to search for myself here. And when I pull up my profile from within BNI Connect, and again, this is accessible to members only, we do see a little bit more information. So in here, here's my picture, what I'm working on. It shows all of my roles in the system as well. So people can see that I'm a director consultant. They can see I'm a member, et cetera, et cetera. There's also all my personal information. The video is still displayed. All of my keywords are also displayed so people can read the keywords that I've put in. All of my phone numbers on the inside of BNI Connect, you can choose whether or not to show your email address as well. We will never show it on the public websites. Again, it has all my social media links. Now, the additional things that we can do as a member to member is we can also look at their bio tab. We can take a look at their 60-second presentations. We can see their gains profile. We can see their tops profile. We can also, similar to LinkedIn, look at all of the people that they're connected with. And from here, you can click through, for example, and let's say I can click through and take a look at that person's profile. And if I wanted to, I could take a look at Anita's connections and click through to that person's profile. So you can keep going as deep as you'd like to with the connections here in BNI Connect. You can also see people's testimonials. There's a photo sharing library. You can share up to 20 photos. You can see what groups, discussion groups, people are participating in. And finally, you can look at somebody's training history. So again, these are all credibility building and visibility building blocks for our membership and for our profiles. So let's take a look. How do we actually update this information in BNI Connect? Because you have to put the information in somewhere. So for that, I'm going to go back to my home screen here. Now, of course, this is our home screen where we do all our online slips, where we enter our referral slips and things like that on a weekly basis. It also has all of our statistics for the last 12 months in the lifetime. But to get all the information up there into BNI Connect, we need to go into the back end a little bit. And we can do that a couple of different ways. Up here in the gray bar, you can click on Update Profile My BNI page. You can also go up to the options up here and click on My Account. Both things will take you to the same place. Now this will take us into the back end of our profile. You'll see that it's broken up into tabs. Otherwise this would probably scroll down for about 15 pages. The first tab is the main profile. Then we have the user profile, the contact details, account settings, bio. If you are a director consultant, you would have a director profile as well. And finally, the training history. And each one of these contain different bits of information. So this first page, which is the main profile, pretty straightforward. It's basically your name, your company name. If you happen to have a registered tax office or a VAT reference number, VAT, by the way, stands for value added tax. Many of us here in the United States, we don't need to do anything like that in our profile. There are certain countries where this has to be registered as part of your profile in order for it to, for the regional office to have that information at all times. It is an optional field, though, so if you don't need it, you can skip that. It also has your industry, classification, chapter, and status. Now, all of this information at the top here, if you do need to make changes to any of this, especially the name, the company, or the industry, you do need to have those changes verified and, in most cases, done by your regional office. So you would send a request in to have those things changed, and they would assist you with changing that. But at the bottom of the page, you do have control over these two things, the My BNI Business and the keywords. And here's where you want to start spending a little bit of time with this. The My Business description is, the way I look at it, it's kind of like your elevator pitch. Or when you meet somebody, let's say at, I don't know, an open networking at your weekly chapter meeting. And it's somebody that might be a visitor or a guest that you're meeting for the first time, and you need to explain to them briefly what it is that you do. The thing to keep in mind is that this is going to display mostly as text on the websites. People don't like to read a lot of text. So you do need to be careful about just how much stuff you put in there. But by all means, keep it short and sweet. Now, we do have a question from Wendy. It says, how much HTML is allowed in the text blocks? And I was just about to get to the fact that, yes, you can put HTML into the My Business. There are only 3 fields on your profile where you can put HTML code, and this is done for security reasons. One of which is the My Business description, and the other is your 60-second presentations that are on the Bio tab. The amount that you can put in, though, is really dependent on it's limited to the amount of text that can go in here. I don't remember offhand exactly how much text that is. If you give me a second, though, I'll figure that out, and I'll be able to tell you. Let me just do a character count on this, and this will give us kind of an approximation here. It looks like it's limited to about 1,000 characters. So 1,000 characters total in this, and that would be your limit. So however much that includes HTML code as well as the regular words. So does that help you, Wendy? All right, so, and again, you can customize that with regular HTML code. And in order to put a video in there, you can see what I did here, and that is, this is the video here. You can see how it says iframe and then it has a link to a video. You do need to host the video somewhere else. In my case, it happens to be YouTube, but it also works for places like Vimeo. But all you need to do is get the video onto some kind of a public site like that. And for example, I used YouTube. Just go into the video that you want to embed and click on the share button. You'll see an embed button. And all you need to do is copy this code and paste it into your My Business description. Then the video will be displayed on your profile. Now the keywords field, the keywords are going to be, how do people find you when they don't know your name? And that's really important because when people are searching for services, especially on the public websites, or when they're searching for services of people outside their area. For example, if I have clients that have offices in Florida and in Virginia and places like that, the first place I turn to when I need to make a referral, let's say to another computer guy, I'm going to go to BNI first to see if I can find somebody in BNI that I can trust right away to do that. So I'm not going to know the person's name, but I will know their services in the area that I'm looking for. And these keywords help you to search for the right services. So what these do is these supplement your industry and classification. The other thing that this can do is to supplement your area. One thing that you may or may not know about Rhode Island is that Rhode Island is a very, 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 very small state. It is only 20 miles wide by 40 miles high. That means that a lot of people in Rhode Island do business in the neighboring states, which is Connecticut and Massachusetts. So I was able to put Massachusetts and Connecticut, so if people are searching for, let's say, computers in Massachusetts or computers in Connecticut, they would also pull up my profile based on my keywords. So any questions on the My Business or the keywords? I see one question here from Chris. Chris says, I'm in BNI Illinois Northwest and I do not see our regional site or chapter listed. Chris, when you guys migrate over, there are a couple of regions in the United States, Illinois, Northern Virginia, and Maryland/Washington, D.C. Your areas here in the United States will be migrating over sometime in April. Once you do, then you will see your information on BNI Connect. You'll be able to log in, and the websites will become live again as well. So does that help, Chris? All right, so that is the main profile page. The next page here is the user profile. The user profile has your basic account information here. Anytime you want to, you can change your username. You can also go in and change your password. Passwords do need to meet complexity requirements. They need to be 8 characters. They also need to have 3 of the following 4 things: an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and or a special symbol such as an exclamation point or an @ sign or something like that. So it has to have 3 of those things as well as be 8 characters long. Now the memorable question and answer, this is if you ever forget your password. You get to define your own question and answer. You just have to be sure that you can answer it correctly. Now what happens is if you forget your password, so let's say that I'm about to log in to BNI Connect and it's just not taking my password, I forget it. What I need to do is click on Forgot My Password. It's going to look up your account based on your your email address. You also need to put in that CAPTCHA code, YGNPE here. Click Find Me. Once it does, it will ask you your question. So what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? And I do need to answer this correctly. Keep in mind that it is case and space sensitive. So that means that this has extra spaces in it and periods and things like that. You need to know all of the correct cases and spaces in the answer to be able to answer that correctly. Once you do, it will allow you to change your password and you'll be able to log right into BNI Connect. Eric and Wendy both appreciate the question, so, and that would be a European swallow. But you can choose your own language here as well, especially those of you that might be coming in from Canada. They will have an English Canadian as well as a French Canadian. So you can go through and choose your language. It is translated into over 40 different languages. You can also choose your time zone. And of course, your images. You can upload a profile image as well as a company logo. You do that. Let's say I wanted to change my company logo here. I would just click on Change Logo. I could then attach a new image by clicking on the question mark there. I'm sorry, not the magnifying glass. Let me go and find a new one. You just need to find it on your computer. And I think I'm going to use this dark one now. If you want to, you can crop it. When you're done, just click Save. Wendy says, what is the proper dimensions for the logo? And are transparent pixels bad? So yes, transparency will not work. I don't remember off the top of my head what the exact dimensions are. Obviously, you can crop them to the right size. I just don't remember it offhand. If you want to, send me an email, supports@bniconnect.com, supports@bniconnect.com, and I can email you back with the exact dimensions, or I should say the maximum dimensions for the profile image and company logo. Okay. All right, so the next tab is going to be all your contact details. Now, the most important thing that you can do on this page is look at the very top line. It says, show me on the BNI public websites. If this is checked, people will be able to search for you. If I uncheck this, people will not be able to find me on the public website. So I just uncheck this, and if I go back to my BNI RI site, or if I go to bniamerica.com and I go to find a member, even if I search by my direct name here, I am no longer listed on this site. Or if I even go to my bniri.com, I go to my Wakefield, my chapter page, and I go to my chapter members here, I am no longer listed as one of the members of my chapter. In order to be found, you do need to make sure that this is checked. Once that is checked, all these other things apply. You can choose which phone numbers are showed on the public website, whether or not people can email you from there, if you want to share your social media links, and which address you would like to use. Let's see, Ken asks, is there a maximum size for the photos? And yes, it is a 5 megabyte limit for the photos. And Steve says, and you know, when you aren't showing on the website like that, it will appear to people like your category may just be open. So that's a very good point, Steve. All right, and also if you happen to have a home address and you still like your city and state and everything to appear online on the websites, then what you would do is just enter in, instead of your actual address, under the address, enter in something like by appointment only. You do want to keep your real address in the billing address, though, so that your regional office executive director can get in touch with you properly. So this all controls, all these checkboxes control what is shared on the public websites. The next tab has to do with the inside of BNI Connect, the account settings on the inside of BNI Connect. So all of these, the member to member, what am I going to share with other members here in BNI Connect? You can choose which of your tabs to share, your bio tab, your connections tab, your testimonials tab, your picture gallery, whether or not you're showing your email address and your contact details. And you can choose whether or not you're sharing that with everybody, just people you're connected with, or with nobody. I tend to share everything with everybody, so I have these set to all, so anybody can see any of those tabs. The next thing has to really do with email notifications. When you're participating in the groups in BNI Connect, you want to be emailed how often, every time a post is added, once a day, once a week or not to email you at all. And at the bottom, which one of the social media things would you like to have sent to your regular email address, the messages and the connection requests, etc. And just for these alerts, you can redirect them to a different email address if you'd like to. Let's see, Ken has a question. I'm in Canada. Can I enter both English and French info? Yes, you can enter as much of that info as you'd like to, that there is room for in each of those fields. The system does not automatically translate things that are manually entered. Again, you can control based on your language how BNI Connect appears. So every single header and drop down and things like that, that's all translated. However, the stuff within what you're writing is not automatically translated. So if you are bilingual or you'd like to have it appear in multiple languages, you will need to do that manually within these various fields. Does that make sense? Does that help, Ken? Is that what you were looking for? All right, so the next tab is fairly straightforward as well. However, this tab will take you a little while to go ahead and fill out. So take your time with it. The bio is the typical bio that you would fill out before one of your 10-minute presentations. Usually your secretary-treasurer hands you one of these forms, says fill this out so I can introduce you. This is the exact same form. Years in business and spouse and children and key to success and something no one knows about you. Should all be familiar. Take some time to fill that out, and maybe your secretary-treasurer won't be chasing you down. The next two things are your commercials. You can put commercials into BNI Connect. Now, this is really helpful for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can also put in videos and HTML text into this. But when people are looking at your profile, keep in mind that, again, there are 170,000 BNI members worldwide. I can guarantee you that 169,800 of them will never be at one of your chapter meetings. But the ones that do view your profile, you can give them a chance to hear what you had to say and maybe what you're looking for a good referral. And they can do that by reading your commercials. It's also a great place to stash a couple of commercials if you've ever had the situation where you basically can't make it to the next day's BNI meeting. It's the very last minute. You do manage to get a sub, but now you got to come up with a 60-second. You have to email it to them. You can stash a couple of them here in BNI Connect and be able to just copy and paste it and send that off to them. The next thing is your gains profile, goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. Think back to your member success program, your MSP, when they tell you before you sit down to a one-to-one, you should have a gains exchange where we share this gains information ahead of time before we sit down. Now we can do that gains exchange just by looking at somebody's profile. Or you can use one of the reports in the system to be able to print this out or send it ahead of time. And finally, the TOPS profile. The TOPS profile is very important because this is the one thing on the bio tab that shows up on the public websites. So if you have a very limited amount of time, do the TOPS profile first, then come back and do the rest of it. And just like with anything else, be sure you click the update and save this as you're going along. BNI Connect does have a 30-minute timeout. So if you walk away from your computer for more than 30 minutes, it will log you out of the system. And if you hadn't saved everything, you will lose it. So be sure to update every once in a while, especially on these pages. Again, if you are a director, if a director, consultant, executive director, ambassador, you will have a separate profile page on the director chair. This is basically everything condensed into this. The only place that this profile shows up and the only thing it's used for is the Contact Us page on your regional website. So I'm a member and a director, so if people click on my profile here from the contact page, this is me as a director. And when they click on it, it shows my BNI specific information as opposed to my personal business. And that is the purpose of that director page. And finally, the training history. And the training history is all of the various trainings that you've attended that are part of your profile. The training history gets automatically updated. So when you attend a regional event, let's say you go to a member success program, and you signed up for that through BNI Connect, once your regional office marks you as having attended, then this will be automatically added to your profile. If something is missing, don't panic. Just shoot an email over to your regional office or to your director consultant. They have the ability to add these back in. And that there is the profile. Make sure you take some time to edit this information, make it look as good as you can make it look. Again, this is VCP, visibility, credibility, and profitability. Dr. Meisner says, he can't guarantee that you will get more business just by having your profile filled out. However, he can guarantee that you won't get any extra business by not having it filled out. Now, for those of you still on the call with us, the one thing that you want to make sure you do is this is worth a CEU credit. So if your region is participating in CEUs, either turn in a slip at the meeting or make sure you click on Submit CEU Slip and give yourself 1 credit now for a BNI webinar. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour. We're actually 1 minute over. What I'd like to do is to go ahead and open this up to any questions. If you have any questions whatsoever, I invite you to please ask those questions now, and I will be happy to answer them. While you're thinking up any questions, just a reminder, this is being recorded. You will be able to find it on the support site, so go ahead and click on the question mark. You'll find it under the recorded webinars. You'll also be able to, on the support site, have a look at all the upcoming webinars. Our very next webinar is tomorrow, how to give and receive and track referrals online through BNI Connect. That's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Again, that's tomorrow, giving and tracking referrals, a good referral from me. Please invite people to this webinar tomorrow. Let your chapter members know about them. Let your regions know about them. I would love to have more people on these webinars. And finally, I would love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do all sorts of stuff up here, webinar announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and release updates and all sorts of things up on our Facebook channel. So please give us a like up there. All right, so we have a couple of questions here. Let's see. Gina says no questions, just thank you, and you're very welcome, Gina. Thank you for being here. Chris says, when the new regions are migrated, will existing profiles come over? We're still looking at the exact fields that will be matched up. I would say a good portion of your profiles that have matching fields here in BNI Connect will be migrated over. But again, they are actually working on the code portion of the migration now. They'll be working on that for the next month, month and a half straight. So definitely stay tuned for more information on that, Chris. But thank you for the question. Does that help? Let's see. Barbara says, how does one enter a testimonial onto BNI Connect? So for that one, I go into very deeper detail, if you will, on the social media webinar. So that one is going to be the Global Network one, which is this coming Friday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. But very quickly, the place to do that is to your connections. So people that you're connected with. You're automatically connected with people in the chapter, or you can connect with people by searching for them in BNI Connect. Once you're connected with them, I would go to Network Connections. And you would just, for, let's say, one of my connections here, let's see, Andrew Dobbin. I'll see his contact card here, and I have a couple of options. I can send him a message, I can ask him for a testimonial, or I could give him a testimonial. So that's how I give a testimonial to somebody in BNI Connect. Of course, I can always go to my testimonials page if I need to remove or delete a testimonial. Dawn, thank you so much for being here. Yes, I've been fighting like a laryngitis type thing for about 8 weeks now. So I'm hoping it will go away soon and I get my full voice back. But always a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for being here, Dawn. Tom says, can you review how to credit for the CEU? Absolutely. So I would go back to my home screen here and make sure I'm on my BNI business page. Here we'll see the different slips that we can enter. I can enter a thank you for closed business slip. I can enter a referral slip, a one-to-one slip, or a CEU slip. If I click on submit CEU slip, the second line down says either 5 podcasts or a BNI webinar. I would give myself 1 and click submit. And that would submit your CEU slip for the week. So does that help, Tom? Let's see, Wendy says, what regions are not migrated yet? So the regions in Illinois, I believe the surrounding Chicago areas, really the northern part of Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. So those regions in the United States, Northern Virginia and Maryland and Washington, D.C. I believe those are the only regions here in the United States. And then there's Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So those are all of the regions that will be coming over in April. The only other live region that I know about that is not coming over yet is Israel. And we just have some technical difficulties with the language display for that one. So does that help, Wendy? Let's see, Chris says, so do members report their business instead of the VP? Currently, members turn in slips during the meeting and the VP enters the palms. Chris, yep, and exactly. If you want to jump on the webinar tomorrow, that we're going to go over this in extreme detail, the giving and tracking referrals online. That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. noon Eastern. And yes, what happens is you can enter any of the slips anytime during the week online through BNI Connect. So if I have a referral for someone, I can just enter a referral right into the system at any time. They'll get an email notification about it and all the details, and the information gets entered into the PALMS report automatically. Now, keep in mind that does not change that portion of the meeting. We stand up. I still stand up and say, yes, I had a referral this week for Chris, and I had a one-to-one with Tom, and I had thank you for closed business for $5,000 for Bob. But the slips have already been entered, so it actually makes the VP's work much easier. They can still verify all the information. They still have full control over the PALMS reports. But if everybody's doing this online, all they really have to do at that point is take attendance. And if you've ever been a VP before, you know that that is the hardest job in the chapter. There's so much responsibility. This is just one thing to make that burden a little lighter. So does that answer your question, Chris? All right, let's see what we have here. Willie says, what are the boundaries for someone that is part of another chapter? Is it permissible if someone is in 2 separate fields? What's recommended if they would be interested in filling an opportunity with another chapter with the other fields they are affiliated with? Right on the application, part of BNI is that a single member, a single person, so you as a single person can only be a member of 1 chapter at a time. If you have business affiliates, if you have people that work for you, even a spouse maybe that works for you that can represent your company in another chapter, that is perfectly fine, but you as a person can only exist in 1 chapter at a time. And I know that Ivan, Dr. Meisner, has done a number of podcasts and talks on just this subject, giving all the reasons why. Largely it has to do with just the time commitment of being dedicated to your chapter and not splitting those interests between multiple places. Take a look on bnipodcast.com and you should be able to find one that explains it very clearly. All right. What other questions you guys have? I absolutely love questions. This is what I do all day, every day through email, is just to answer people's questions. So it's great to have live questions. So if you have any additional questions, I'd love to answer those. But that was the last one that I had on the list. All right, if there's no additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to thank everybody for being here today and joining me. Again, a good referral for me is please take a look at the webinar list and invite your fellow chapter members and regions to these webinars. I look forward to seeing you next time, and happy connecting.